I sat alone on my 75th birthday while my family was on vacation using my money. That's right. They took my credit card, booked themselves a beach resort, and left me sitting at home with a table set for 5 and nobody to fill the chairs. My 75th birthday was supposed to be special. I'd been promised something I hadn't had in years, a little joy, a little sunshine, and a reason to feel seen again. So I got dressed. I cooked. I waited. But what happened that day changed how I saw everything and everyone around me. Before I go any further, I need to tell you something. I may be old, but I'm not blind. And I'm certainly not helpless. The truth has a way of finding you, even when those you love try to bury it under sand and margaritas. So if you're listening to this and thinking your own mama doesn't know what you're up to, think again. We know. We always know. Let me take you back to where it all started. February. Cold morning. I was sitting at my kitchen table with my coffee when my son Andre walked in with that smile he gets when he wants something. Mama, he said, we're planning something special for your 75th birthday. My heart jumped. It had been so long since anyone planned anything for me. A real vacation, he continued. Somewhere warm. Just pack your good dresses. Leave the rest to us. I smiled so hard that day I nearly dropped my coffee. You have to understand it had been years since I'd been anywhere besides church or the pharmacy. I hadn't seen a beach since Harold passed. That's my husband. Gone 6 years now, and every birthday without him felt heavier than the last. So when Andre promised me sunshine and family time, it felt like maybe, just maybe, I'd get to feel alive again. When I asked about the cost, Andre brushed it off like lint on his shoulder. You worked your whole life, didn't you? You deserve this. Let us handle it. Those words. Let us handle it. If you're listening to this and you've ever heard those words from someone you trust, you know they can mean two very different things. A week later he came back. Said he needed to borrow my credit card to lock in the rates and book the group tickets. Just temporarily. Just to secure everything. I hesitated. Something in my stomach fluttered, not excitement, but that little warning bell that rings when you've lived long enough to know better. But this was my boy. The child I raised. The one I used to rock to sleep when thunder shook our little house. So I handed it over. I started preparing right away. Bought myself a new suitcase, purple, on sale at Target. I kept it by the front door with the tag still on, like a promise waiting to be kept. Every few days I'd add something to it. My favorite sundress with the hibiscus print that Harold used to say made me look like springtime. My church sandals, the comfortable ones with the good arch support. A sun hat I hadn't worn in 8 years, still wrapped in tissue paper from the last time I thought I might need it. I even tucked Harold's handkerchief into the side pocket. The one that still smelled faintly of his cologne. It made me feel like he'd be coming too in spirit. Like maybe I wouldn't feel so alone surrounded by family if I had a piece of him with me. April came and went like it always does, too fast when you're waiting for something good. I asked Andre about the dates. We're still working out the schedule, he said. It'll line up perfectly with your birthday. Promise. That word again. Promise. When did promises become so easy to make and so hard to keep? But I believed him. Lord help me, I believed every word. I told the ladies at church about it. Showed them pictures of beaches on my phone, asked their advice about sunscreen for aging skin. They were so happy for me. It's about time someone spoiled you, Dolores, they said. If you're listening to this and you've ever been the fool in your own story, you know how much those moments of joy can hurt in hindsight. The night before my birthday, May 18th, the phone rang at 8:47. I know the exact time because I was watching Wheel of Fortune and had just solved the puzzle before the contestant. Birthday wishes come true. The irony wasn't lost on me later. It was Andre. He sounded rushed, like he was driving with the windows down. Mama, I hate to say it, but the trip's getting pushed back a little bit. My heart dropped so fast I felt it in my knees. Oh. For how long? Not long. Maybe a few more weeks. Just some scheduling stuff on our end. Scheduling stuff. That's what he called it. Like my 75th birthday was a dentist appointment you could just reschedule. Oh, okay, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. So I'll see you tomorrow at least? For dinner. There was a pause. The kind that tells you everything before words ever do. Of course, he said finally. Wouldn't miss it. We'll stop by for sure. Stop by? Not celebrate with you. Not spend the day with you. Stop by? Like I was an errand on their list between the grocery store and the gas station. But it was enough for me. I told myself it was enough. At least I'd see them. At least I wouldn't be completely alone on the day I turned 3/4 of a century old. If you think I'm being too sensitive, write 1 in the comments. But if you understand that feeling when someone you love makes you feel like an obligation instead of a priority, write mother instead. Because only a mother knows how much it hurts to be grateful for crumbs from the table you set. I woke up on my 75th birthday at 5:30 in the morning. Not because I set an alarm, but because when you've lived as long as I have, your body knows when a day is supposed to be special. I laid there for a moment, listening to the birds outside my window, and whispered happy birthday to myself. First time in 6 years I had to do that. Harold always said it first, usually with coffee already brewing and gospel music playing soft in the kitchen. But this day I said it to myself. Then I got up, put on my robe, and decided to make the day beautiful anyway. I started with prayer, then turned on my gospel playlist, Mahalia Jackson, Shirley Caesar, all the voices that carried me through. I put on a fresh pot of coffee, the good kind I usually save for company, and started cooking. Lord, did I cook! Fried chicken, using my mama's recipe with the secret spice she never wrote down. Candied yams with real vanilla and a touch of cinnamon. Macaroni and cheese with 5 kinds of cheese because my grandbaby Imani always said mine was better than any restaurant. Fresh string beans with smoked turkey, just the way Harold liked them. And a sweet potato pie from scratch, real scratch, not that store-bought crust mess. The house filled up with the smell of love. That's what I call it when you cook with your whole heart, hoping to feed more than just stomachs. I even brought out the good china from the top cabinet, the set with the gold trim we got for our wedding. Haven't used it since Harold's funeral lunch, but birthdays and funerals are both occasions for the good dishes, aren't they? I set the table for 5. Me at the head, Andre to my right where he always sat growing up. Brianna next to him. Imani across from her daddy where she could steal extra rolls without him noticing. And 1 extra place just in case. Maybe they'd bring Tyrell from next door. Sweet boy, always checking on me. His grandmother raised him right before she passed. By 3 o'clock, I was ready. Dressed in my blue floral dress, the one Harold bought me for our 40th anniversary. Said it made me look like a movie star. I curled my hair, put on a little lipstick. Nothing too much, just enough to feel like myself. Like the woman I was before I became, just grandma, or Andre's mother, or that old lady in the corner house. I lit the tall candles I usually save for Easter dinner. Set out the cloth napkins. Put on some Luther Vandross low in the background because Andre always liked his music with Sunday dinner. Then I sat down in the living room where I could see the driveway through the front window. 4 o'clock came. They're probably stuck in traffic, I thought. 5 o'clock. Maybe they're stopping to get flowers. Andre always was last minute about things like that. 6 o'clock. I got up and reheated everything. Checked my phone. No missed calls. No texts. Battery was full, volume was up. Nothing. 7 o'clock. The candles had started dripping wax onto the good tablecloth. I blew them out and lit them again. Second time that day I had to light my own birthday candles. 8 o'clock. I called Andre. It rang 4 times then went to voicemail. Hey baby, it's mama. Just checking if y'all are still coming. Food's ready. I made your favorite. I tried to sound cheerful, like I wasn't watching the gravy congeal and the chicken get cold. 9 o'clock. I sat at the table alone. All 5 place settings still perfect. The food cold now for the 3rd time. I couldn't reheat it again. What was the point? I stared at the empty chairs and tried to imagine them full. Tried to hear Imani's laugh, Andre's stories about work, Brianna asking for my mac and cheese recipe even though I'd given it to her 10 times already. But the only sound was the tick of the clock Harold hung in the kitchen 30 years ago. Still keeping perfect time, even if nobody else was. My hand trembled as I picked up the fork. I tried to take a bite of the chicken I'd spent all morning seasoning, but it tasted like sawdust in my mouth. How does food made with love taste like nothing when there's no one to share it with? I put the fork down and just sat there, looking at all that food. All that hope laid out on the table like a feast for ghosts. The prayer I'd said over it that morning felt like a mockery now. Lord, bless this food and the hands that prepared it. Bless those who gather here in love. But nobody gathered. And I'm not sure there was much love left to bless. That's when the tears came. Quiet at first, the kind that just slip out when you're too tired to hold them back. Then harder until my shoulders shook and I had to hold onto the edge of the table to keep myself steady. I cried for the woman who spent hours cooking. I cried for the mother who still believed her son's promises. I cried for the grandmother whose grandbaby probably didn't even know it was her birthday. But mostly I cried for Harold. Because he would have never let this happen. He would have been here, telling me I looked beautiful in my blue dress. He would have eaten 2 plates and asked for pie. He would have held my hand during grace and thanked God for another year with his Dolores. If you've ever sat alone on a day when you shouldn't be alone, you know this kind of crying. It's not the dramatic kind you see in movies. It's the quiet breakdown of a woman who's just realized she's become invisible to the people she loves most. Let me know if you understand that feeling. Comment, I see you, if you've ever been forgotten by the very people you'd never forget. Because somebody needs to know they're not alone in this. At around 10:30, I finally got up. My knees protested, they always do now when I sit too long. I wrapped everything in foil, each dish a monument to my foolishness. Put it all in the refrigerator like I was preserving evidence of my abandonment. 5 pounds of hope and hurt, chilling next to the milk. I blew out the candles for the last time and changed into my nightgown. The blue dress hung on the back of the bedroom door, looking as disappointed as I felt. I folded it carefully and put it away. Maybe I'd wear it again someday. Maybe not. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at that purple suitcase by the door. Still packed. Still waiting. The price tag dangling like a surrender flag. I thought about unpacking it, but I couldn't. Some part of me still wanted to believe the trip would happen. That Andre would call tomorrow with apologies and new dates. That this was all just a misunderstanding. You know what the saddest part was? I had bought myself a birthday card the week before from the dollar store. Just in case nobody else remembered. It said, "You're still glowing in pink glitter." I thought it was cute when I bought it. Hopeful even. Now it sat on my nightstand unopened. Even I couldn't wish myself a happy birthday anymore. I turned off the light and lay down slowly. Everything hurt more at night. My knees, my back, my heart. I stared at the ceiling fan Harold installed the summer before he died, watching the blades turn in lazy circles. Around and around, like my thoughts. I folded my hands over my stomach the way Harold used to hold them when we'd lay in bed talking about nothing and everything. Maybe they forgot, I whispered to the empty room. But even as I said it, I knew better. You don't forget your mama's 75th birthday. You choose to miss it. The next morning I woke to a silent house. Not peaceful silent, empty silent. There's a difference, and anybody who's been left behind knows it. I sat on the edge of my bed for so long my feet went numb against the cold floor. Part of me wanted to stay there forever, just disappear into the mattress like I'd apparently disappeared from my family's thoughts. But that's not who Dolores Wynn is. So I got up, brushed my teeth, tied my headscarf tight, shuffled to the kitchen in the slippers Andre bought me 3 Christmases ago, back when he still showed up for holidays. I made tea but didn't drink it. Opened the fridge, saw all that food, closed it again. The dishes from last night were still in the sink. I couldn't face them. Every plate felt like evidence of my stupidity. Instead, I sat on the couch wrapped in Harold's old cardigan. Still smelled like him if I breathed deep enough, Old Spice and wood shavings from his workshop. I stared at the floor and listened to that damn clock tick. Noon came and went. Still no call. No text. Not even a "sorry we missed you, mama." Then came a knock. 3 soft taps that made my heart jump. For a moment, just a moment, I thought maybe it was them. Maybe they'd realized what they'd done and come to make it right. But it was Tyrell. Sweet Tyrell from 2 doors down, holding a plastic grocery bag and smiling like sunshine. "Hey, Miss D," he said. "Got you that lemon dish soap you mentioned last week." "Oh, bless your heart," I said, voice creaky from crying. "Come on in, baby." He walked in casual as you please, but I saw his eyes take in the scene. The formal dining table still set. The candles burned down to nubs. Me and my housecoat at noon, eyes probably still puffy. That boy was raised by a grandmother, he knew the signs of heartbreak. "I was gonna offer you some tea," I said, but... He noticed my phone on the table and picked it up. "You still having trouble with your apps? Want me to take a look?" I nodded. "You know me and that thing don't get along." He sat down, swiping through settings while I pretended to wipe down the already clean counter. Just needed something to do with my hands. Then I heard him stop. The kind of stop that makes the air change. "Miss D," he said, gentle as a prayer. "Did you say your son was planning to take you on a trip for your birthday?" I turned toward him slow, like moving too fast might break something. "Yes." He said it was going to be a family vacation. But the night before he called and said it was postponed. "Why?" He hesitated. I could see him weighing whether to hurt me with truth or protect me with lies. "I didn't mean to snoop," he said finally. "But I follow your granddaughter on Instagram." "Imani." My stomach dropped. "Okay." He turned the phone toward me. And there it was. Clear as day, bright as the sun I thought I'd see with them. A beach. White sand. Water so blue it hurt to look at. And in the middle of it all, my family. Andre, Brianna, and Imani wearing matching shirts that said, Win Family Vacation 2024. Smiling. Tanned. Holding drinks with little umbrellas. The caption read, Much needed reset. Hashtag family time, hashtag no worries just sun. Posted May 19th. My birthday. I stared at that photo like it was written in a foreign language. My mouth opened but nothing came out. I reached for the phone with shaking hands, needing to see it closer. Needing to be sure. I scrolled to the next post. Brianna twirling in a sundress, champagne glass raised to the camera. Another showed Andre laughing with a cigar, looking happier than I'd seen him in years. There was even one of Imani showing off a new gold bracelet, the kind I could never afford to give her. Post after post. Breakfast buffets. Sunset walks. Spa treatments. A whole vacation's worth of memories that didn't include me. Not one photo. Not one mention. Like I didn't exist. They told me it was postponed, I whispered. My voice sounded strange, like it was coming from somewhere else. Said we'd reschedule. Said they'd come for dinner. The tears came then hot and fast. I couldn't stop them. My shoulders shook as I scrolled through paradise paid for with my postponed dreams. Tyrell just sat there quiet. He didn't try to explain it away or make excuses for them. He just witnessed my pain, which was more than my own family had done. They left me, I said, the words choking out between sobs. They really left me. If you're still listening, tell me, would you do this to your mother? Would you look her in the eye, take her money, promise her joy, then leave her behind like luggage that didn't fit? Comment below. Tell me I'm not crazy for feeling like my heart got ripped out and taken to Mexico without me. After Tyrell left, and bless that boy, he sat with me until I stopped crying. I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my laptop. Andre always said I didn't need to worry about all that computer stuff. Said he'd handle the bills, the banking, everything online. Keep it simple for me. But I remembered one password. Just one. My Harold's birthday and our anniversary. And that was enough. I logged into my email, hands still shaking. Typed reservation in the search bar. And there it was. First result. An email from a resort in Cancun. Booking confirmation, win party of 3. Ocean view suite. All-inclusive package. Spa add-ons. 7 nights. Paid in full. Billing name, Dolores Wynn. Credit card, mine. The one I gave him for emergencies. I stared at that screen until the words blurred. They didn't just forget me. They didn't just leave me. They used me. Used my money I saved living off generic brands and clipping coupons to pay for a vacation I was supposed to be on. But here's what hurt worse than the money, they planned this. This wasn't some last-minute decision. You don't book ocean view suites and spa packages overnight. They sat together, probably at my kitchen table eating my food, and decided I wasn't worth taking. Decided my money was good enough, but I wasn't. Then they looked me in the eye and lied. I closed the laptop and stood up. My knees creaked, my back ached, but something else was happening too. Something I hadn't felt in years. The fog was lifting. The sweet, trusting mother I'd been was stepping aside, and somebody else was standing up. Somebody who was tired of being played for a fool. I walked to the hallway mirror, the same one Harold hung when we first moved in 43 years ago. I looked at myself hard. Really looked. I saw every line, every gray hair, every year of sacrifice written on my face. But you know what else I saw? I saw a woman who deserved better. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. The call came the next afternoon. Brianna. Her voice dripping with fake sugar like she was talking to a child. Hey, Miss D. We're back in town. So sorry we missed your big day. You know how it is. No, I wanted to say. I don't know how it is to lie to your mother-in-law's face. But I just said, Andre's gonna stop by later, she continued. Bring you something nice. Something nice. Like I was a dog waiting for table scraps. I hung up without saying goodbye. Didn't even care if it was rude. When you get to be 75, you earn the right to hang up on people who treat you like a fool. Sure enough, Andre showed up that evening. Walked right in without knocking, like he'd been doing since he was teenager. Like he hadn't just spent a week in paradise on my dime while I cried over cold chicken. Hey mama, he said, casual as Sunday morning. Brought you this. He set a white paper bag on my table. Inside was a single slice of red velvet cake from some fancy bakery downtown. Had a little card that said, Happy belated birthday in gold cursive. Belated. Like my birthday was an afterthought. Like I was an afterthought. I looked at that cake. Then I looked at him. Really looked. When did my baby boy become this stranger? When did his eyes stop seeing me as his mother and start seeing me as an ATM? That what you brought back from Mexico? I asked, voice steady as stone. His smile slipped just a hair. Oh, so you saw the photos. I saw everything. He chuckled. Actually chuckled like we were sharing a joke. Mama, we didn't think you'd want to travel all that way. You know how you get tired. That's not what you told me. You told me it was postponed. Plans change, he shrugged. It wasn't that deep. Wasn't that deep. I stepped closer, feeling something rise in my chest. You used my credit card, Andre. His head snapped back. What? No, you gave it to me for emergencies. Since when is a 7-night stay at an ocean resort an emergency? I figured you'd be fine with it once you saw how much we enjoyed ourselves. The words hung in the air between us like a slap I was too shocked to feel. He figured I'd be fine with it. Figured I'd be fine sitting alone on my 75th birthday, crying into a plate of food I cooked for ghosts, while they used my money to toast to family time without me. You figured, I repeated. You figured your mama, who put on her best dress and cooked all day and set the table with the good china, would be fine being lied to? Left out? Paying for her own exclusion. He groaned and dropped into a chair like this conversation was exhausting him. Mama, you're being dramatic. It's not like we left you with nothing. You had food. You always say you don't eat much. Dramatic. There it was. The word children use when their parents dare to have feelings that inconvenience them. I gripped the edge of the table to keep my hands from shaking. Thought about how I held this boy through fevers. How I worked doubles to pay for his basketball shoes. How I skipped meals so he'd never know we were struggling. How I pawned my mother's ring to keep the lights on. How I prayed on my knees every night he was out late, begging God to bring him home safe. I'm your mother, Andre. Not your wallet. Not your backup plan. Your mother. He didn't say anything. Just sat there looking irritated, like I was keeping him from something more important. You can go, I said softly. He looked up, surprised. Mama dash. I need to sweep, I said, already moving toward the closet. And I don't like sweeping around things that don't belong here. For a second, he looked like the little boy who used to cry when I left for work. But it passed quick as lightning, replaced by this hard stranger wearing my son's face. He stood up and left without another word. Didn't even take his fancy cake. That night, I sat on my porch under the string lights Harold hung for our anniversary years ago. Rocked in my chair with my grandmother's quilt around my shoulders. The air was cool and clean, like the world was trying to apologize for the ugliness of the day. I didn't cry. I was done crying. But I wasn't done hurting and I wasn't done thinking. How many times had I made excuses for Andre? How many times had I said, he's just stressed, or he means well, or that's just how he is? How long had I been accepting crumbs and calling it a feast? If you have children who take you for granted, write enough in the comments. If you've ever had to realize your love wasn't being returned, just used, let me know I'm not alone. Because sitting on that porch, I felt like the loneliest woman in the world. But I still loved my son. God help me, I did. That's the curse of being a mother, loving someone even when they show you exactly who they are. But I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. Couldn't unfeel what I'd felt. And I couldn't keep pretending this was okay. Share this story if you think parents deserve better. Subscribe if you want to hear what happened next. Because baby, I was just getting started. A few weeks later, things got tight. Tighter than usual anyway. The power bill came in high, these Georgia summers don't play, and groceries weren't getting any cheaper. My Social Security check wasn't due for another week, and I was running low on my blood pressure medicine. Now normally, I'd just tighten my belt and make do. I'd lived through worse. But something made me think about my savings. The retirement account Andre had been managing for me. Maybe I could just transfer a little to tide me over. That's when Tyrell mentioned Miss Nora Blake. She's a retired judge, he said. Volunteers at the community center helping older folks with legal stuff. She's sharp, Miss D, real sharp. And she don't play games. I didn't want to bother nobody, but I made the call. Nora Blake showed up the next afternoon looking like Power in a pantsuit. Tall woman, silver hair in a perfect twist out, as that looked like they could see through walls. She walked in carrying a canvas tote full of folders and gave me a handshake firm enough to mean business. Miss Wynn, she said. You needed some assistance? Just a little guidance, I said, suddenly feeling small. I might need to borrow against my retirement. Just temporarily. She studied me for a moment. Do you mind if I ask, don't you have access to your own retirement account? I hesitated. Well, my son's been helping me manage it. He handles all that computer stuff. Says it's easier if he just takes care of the boring parts. And how involved are you with that management? He has all the logins. Pays the bills from it. I just didn't want to deal with the hassle. She leaned forward and her voice got gentle. Would you mind pulling up your online banking? Just so we can take a quick look, make sure everything's where it should be. Something in her tone made my stomach twist. But I got out my old laptop and let her sit beside me. Took 3 tries to remember the password. Harold's birthday, of course, but we got in. I saw it before she said a word. The balance was wrong. Not a little wrong. A lot wrong. She scrolled through the transactions quiet as a church mouse. I sat beside her watching her face get tighter and tighter. When she finally turned to me, she didn't talk like a judge. She talked like a woman who'd seen this too many times. Miss Wynne, she said. Your account's been systematically drained over the past year. We're talking multiple withdrawals. Thousands of dollars. Transfers to secondary accounts, charges for luxury items, vacations, electronics. This isn't help. This is theft. The word hit me like cold water. Theft. My own son. He's just been stressed, I heard myself say. He told me things were tight with his business. She tapped a line on the screen. This charge here? That's from a jewelry store. This one? That's your Cancun trip. These consultant fees? They're going straight to his personal account, not any business. I stared at the screen, watching my life's work disappear one transaction at a time. Every charge was a lie. Every withdrawal a betrayal. You're not a bank, Dolores, she said, using my first name soft but firm. And you are not here to be bled dry while smiling through it. But he's my son. And you're his mother. And you are worth more than how he's treating you. You raised him. You worked your whole life. You don't owe him everything you've got. I sat there with my hands folded so tight they hurt. Thought about all those years of saving. Every dollar tucked away. Every sacrifice made so I'd have something for my old age. And he'd taken it like it was his birthright. I don't want to hurt him, I whispered. You're not, she said. He's already hurting you. We didn't finish that conversation. I needed time to digest it all. But Nora left me her card and said to call when I was ready. When, not if. Like she knew I'd eventually have to face this. The universe didn't give me long to think. The very next week, Andre showed up at my door again. All smiles and big energy. Hey mama. Got some good news. Found a house. Real fixer-upper with potential. Trying to put in an offer before someone else grabs it. I raised my eyebrows, waiting. I need 40 grand for the down payment, he said, like he was asking for $40. Figured you could front me part of the inheritance now. You know, before. He made a gesture with his hand. Before I died. That's what he meant. He was standing in my kitchen asking for his inheritance while I was still breathing. I don't have that kind of money, I said, voice flat as day-old soda. He leaned back, studying me. Sure you do. You just don't want to help. You've been helping yourself, Andre. I saw the charges. His face changed then. The mask slipped. Excuse me. The resort charges. The jewelry. The electronics. You've been draining my account. He stood up quick. You went through my stuff? No, I said, standing too. I went through mine. So what? You're cutting me off now? After everything I've done for you. Everything he'd done for me. I almost laughed. Almost. You mean using me? I said. Lying to me? Leaving me alone on my birthday while you partied on my money. His voice got cold. You do this, you're gonna be all alone. Don't call me when you need something. I walked to the counter, picked up Nora's card, and looked him dead in the eye. I won't. He stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle Harold's picture on the wall. I walked over and straightened it, then picked up the phone. Nora. I said when she answered. I'm ready. Let's get started. Right, justice if you think I did the right thing. Right, family if you think I should have kept quiet. But know this, sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most will hurt you worst, and the only person who can save you is yourself. It didn't take long for reality to hit him. Within a week of Nora helping me change all my accounts, lock my credit, and revoke Andre's access, my phone started blowing up. Missed calls. Angry texts. Mama, we need to talk. Why is my card declining? This isn't funny anymore. Call me now. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Nora said the legal paperwork would take a few days to process fully, but the important part was done immediately. Andre no longer had access to my money. I pictured him standing at some register, trying to swipe my card, getting that little, declined, message. Probably raised his voice. Probably demanded they try again. Probably felt embarrassed. Good. For the first time in years, when I checked my bank balance, I knew it would be the same as I left it. No mysterious charges. No surprise withdrawals. Just my money and my account under my control. Freedom tastes sweet, even when it comes with heartbreak on the side. But Saturday morning, here he came. I was folding laundry, humming an old hymn, when I heard those heavy footsteps on my porch. He didn't knock, just walked in like he owned the place. What the hell is going on? He demanded. I kept folding my towels, taking my sweet time with the corners. You'll need to be more specific. My business account is frozen. The credit cards aren't working. I went to get gas and got humiliated in front of everyone. I looked up at him then, calm as a lake. Those were my cards, Andre. My accounts. You were just borrowing them. And I decided I need them back. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me with his height. When did my baby boy learn to use his size as a weapon? You're really doing this to your own son? No, I said, setting down the towel. You already did it to me. That's when Brianna walked in behind him. No designer clothes this time. No perfect makeup. Just a wrinkled hoodie and the face of a woman who'd been arguing all week. I told you this would blow up, she muttered to Andre. Stay out of it, he snapped. No, I said. Let her talk. I'd love to hear what y'all told yourselves while you were sipping mojitos on my dime. Brianna folded her arms, looking everywhere but at me. We thought you were okay with it. Andre said you never complained about money. Because I never had any to complain about. He was taking it soon as it came in. We were gonna pay it back. When? I asked. When I died. After the funeral? When you sold this house. The silence was thick enough to cut. Andre's face went red. You've always made things harder than they need to be, he said, voice low and mean. And you've always made promises you never meant to keep. Something shifted in his eyes then. Not guilt, I don't think he was capable of that anymore. Just the cold realization that the well had run dry. So what now? You're cutting us off? Your own family. I walked to the dining room drawer, pulled out a manila envelope and set it on the table. What's that? He asked. My new will. Every penny goes to the women's shelter downtown. The one that helps older women get back on their feet after being used by people they trusted. He blinked, stunned. You're writing me out of your will? You wrote yourself out the day you looked at me and saw a bank account instead of your mother. Brianna was crying now, quiet tears sliding down her face. I didn't know it was that bad. I thought you were okay with helping. Helping is one thing. Being robbed is another. She grabbed her purse and backed toward the door. I'm sorry, Miss D. I really didn't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she did. Either way, she left without another word. Andre stood there longer, jaw clenched, trying to find the words that would flip me back to the mother who gave him everything. But that woman was gone. In her place stood someone who finally understood that love without respect is just exploitation with a smile. He finally turned and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows shook. I went over and locked it behind him. First time I'd ever locked my door against my own child. Then I sat down at my kitchen table and did something I hadn't done in years. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because the sound of chains breaking can feel like joy when you've been bound for so long. Because realizing you're worth more than what people take from you is its own kind of resurrection. If you've ever had to choose yourself over family that was killing you slowly, comment, I chose me below. If you think I should have forgiven him, kept giving, kept sacrificing, say that too. But know this, some of us grandmothers are tired of being everybody's salvation while we drown. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want to know what happened next. Because baby, the best part was still coming. A whole year passed. 4 seasons of learning who Dolores Wynn was when she wasn't anybody's doormat. Spring came first, quiet and uncertain. I'd catch myself reaching for the phone when I saw Andre's favorite cereal on sale. Had to remind myself he wasn't coming for Sunday dinner anymore. The azaleas Harold planted bloomed bright pink and I sat on the porch swing alone, learning to enjoy my own company. Summer was harder. The anniversary of my 75th birthday hit different. But this time I didn't cook for ghosts. Didn't set 5 places at the table. I took myself to the botanical gardens, wore a yellow sundress, treated myself to lunch at a real restaurant. The waitress said I was glowing. First time anyone had said that in years. Fall brought lawyers and paperwork. Nora helped me through all of it. We filed reports for the unauthorized charges. Got some of the money back, too. Not all, that Mexico trip was gone forever, but enough to make me feel like justice wasn't completely blind. We rewrote my will official and proper. Every dollar, every piece of jewelry, even this house, all going to people who help women like me. Women who gave too much for too long to people who gave nothing back. Winter was when I started to heal for real. The community center started a seniors group. I joined thinking I'd just sit in the back. Ended up teaching a cooking class. Those ladies loved my mac and cheese recipe, the real one, not the version I gave Brianna all those times. We laughed, we shared stories, we held each other up. Turns out I wasn't the only woman with kids who saw dollar signs instead of their mama's face. Through it all, Tyrell checked on me. Every week without fail. Brought groceries, fixed my leaky faucet, programmed my TV remote when I accidentally deleted all my channels. Never asked for nothing. Never hinted about money. Just showed up and cared, the way family's supposed to. Why do you do it? I asked him one day. He shrugged. My grandma used to say, how you treat old folks is how you're asking to be treated when you're old. Plus, you make the best sweet potato pie in Georgia. That boy? He reminded me that some people still got good hearts. Then my 76th birthday rolled around. I wasn't expecting much. Figured I'd spend it like the year before, alone but not lonely. There's a difference, and I'd learn to appreciate it. But Tyrell had other plans. Miss D, he said a week before. You busy on your birthday? Boy, when am I ever busy? Good. Keep it that way. Come the day, he picked me up in his car, helped me in like I was precious cargo. Drove me to the community center where I figured we were going to the regular seniors' lunch. But when he opened that door, Lord have mercy. The whole room was full. Decorated with gold streamers and white balloons. A banner saying, Happy 76th birthday, Miss Dolores. Tables set with real tablecloths. And people, so many people. The ladies from my cooking class. Miss Nora in a purple dress. The pastor from the church down the street. Even the mailman who always asked how I was doing. Surprise, they all shouted and I nearly fell over. Tyrell grinned. You didn't think we'd let you celebrate alone, did you? The tears came then, but they were different from last year's tears. These were tears of joy. Of recognition. Of realizing that family isn't always blood, sometimes it's the people who choose to show up. We ate good, real food, not fancy stuff, but the kind that fills your soul. Fried chicken and greens and cornbread. And 3 different cakes because apparently everyone wanted to contribute. We danced to old soul music. Told stories. Laughed until our sides hurt. Then just as I was thinking this day couldn't get any better, someone tapped my shoulder. I turned around and there was Imani. My grandbaby, standing there looking nervous, holding a card and shifting from foot to foot. She'd lost weight. The designer clothes were gone, replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. She looked more like the little girl who used to help me cook than the stranger in those beach photos. Grandma, she said. Can I talk to you? I looked at her for a long moment. Part of me wanted to send her away. The hurt was still fresh, even after a year. But she was still my granddaughter. Still the baby whose diapers I changed when her parents were too busy. Come on, I said, leading her to a quiet corner. She sat down and opened her mouth several times before words came out. I didn't know, she finally said. About the money. About leaving you. Daddy told me you didn't want to travel. Said you were too tired, too set in your ways. I believed him because it was easier than asking questions. I studied her face. And now, I saw the bank statements during the divorce proceedings. Saw what they did. Saw the dates. Her voice cracked. You were alone on your birthday because of a lie I helped believe. You getting divorced? She nodded. Turns out when the money dried up, so did the marriage. Funny how that works. Wasn't funny to me, but I understood what she meant. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted you to know. And to give you this. She handed me the card. Inside was a handwritten note and a check. It's not much, she said. But it's every penny I could save from my part of that trip. I know it doesn't fix anything but dash. Keep your money, I said, handing the check back. She looked hurt, but I wasn't finished. You want to make it right? Then show up. Not just today. Not just when you're sorry. Show up when it's boring. When it's just another Tuesday. When I need groceries or company or nothing at all. That's worth more than any check. She nodded, tears sliding down her face. Can I stay for cake? I thought about it. Thought about the year of hurt. The empty chair at my table. The promises broken and trust shattered. But I also thought about grace. About second chances. About the fact that she was here trying when her daddy was nowhere to be found. Go on, I said. But you're serving others first. That's how we do birthdays here. She smiled, first real smile I'd seen from her in years, and went to help pass out plates. The party lasted until evening. When it was done, Tyrell drove me home, car full of leftover cake and new memories. I stood on my porch, watching the sunset, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Whole. Not because my family came back. Not because I got apologies or money or promises of better. But because I'd learned the most important lesson of my 76 years, your worth isn't determined by who loves you. It's determined by how you love yourself. And for the first time in my life, I loved Dolores Wynn exactly as she was. Alone but not lonely. Hurt but not broken. Old but not finished. If you made it this far, you're my kind of people. Comment, Grandma Strong, if you believe we deserve better in our golden years. Share this story with someone who needs to remember their worth. And subscribe because I'm not done telling my truth. Some folks say forgiveness is for the person who hurt you. I say forgiveness is for yourself, but only when you're ready. Only when it doesn't cost you your dignity. Imani kept her word. Started showing up. Tuesdays to help with groceries. Sundays for dinner. Random afternoons just to sit and talk. We're rebuilding, slow and careful, like mending a quilt torn down the middle. Some days are better than others. But she's trying, and that's more than I can say for her daddy. Andre? Haven't heard from him since that day he stormed out. Heard through the grapevine his business failed. Heard he had to move in with Brianna's parents. Heard he tells people his mother abandoned him. Let him tell it. The truth has a way of outliving lies. As for me, I'm living. Not just surviving, living. I take myself to the movies now. Joined a book club. Started a vegetable garden in Harold's memory. Even went on a bus trip to Savannah with the seniors group. Saw the ocean for the first time in 7 years. Put my feet in the sand and thought about how different it felt when I wasn't paying for someone else's joy. My money's mine now. Not much, but enough. Enough for medicine and groceries and the occasional treat. Enough to help Tyrell with his college books because that boy deserves every good thing. Enough to donate to the women's shelter every month. Enough to know I'll never be dependent on someone who sees me as a wallet with a heartbeat. Some nights I sit on my porch and wonder what Harold would think of all this. Would he be proud I stood up for myself? Or sad it came to this? I like to think he'd pour himself some sweet tea, sit beside me on the swing, and say, "About time, baby." About time. The other day, I ran into Andre's old basketball coach at the grocery store. He asked how my boy was doing. For a second, I thought about lying. Saying he was fine, successful, still my pride and joy. But I'm too old for fiction. I don't know, I said. We don't talk anymore. He looked shocked. But you two were so close. I agreed. But he loved my money more than he loved me. And I loved myself too much to keep paying for that kind of love. He didn't know what to say to that. Most people don't. We're so trained to believe mothers should sacrifice everything, forgive everything, endure everything. But nobody talks about what happens when everything becomes too much. I'll tell you what happens. You either disappear completely, or you find yourself again. I chose to find myself. 75 was the year I lost my family. 76 was the year I found my worth. And 77? Well, that's coming up soon, and I plan to celebrate every single day of it. To every grandmother, mother, auntie reading this who's ever been taken for granted, you are not a bank. You are not a safety net for grown folks' bad decisions. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You are worthy of respect, of genuine love, of children who see your face before they see your checkbook. And if they can't give you that, then baby, they don't deserve you. I'm Dolores Wynn. I'm 76 years old. I survived betrayal, abandonment, and the hardest lesson a mother can learn, that sometimes love means letting go. And I'm still here. Still standing. Still worthy. And so are you. If this story touched your heart, let me know. Comment, "I see you, Grandma," below. Share it with every woman who needs to hear she's worth more than what people take from her. Subscribe to hear more truth from women who've lived long enough to stop pretending. And remember, the best revenge against people who didn't value you? Living well without them. God bless.